Hello students, in this video I'll explain bonding in coordination compounds and the theory we are going to study is valence bond theory. Here we'll study the postulates of the VBT. You know that Alfred Werner is the first scientist who proposed the first theory on the coordination compound. Hence, his theory was called as the Werner's theory of coordination compound. But there are some drawbacks. We are going to learn what are the drawbacks of that theory. So let us study the drawbacks or the limitations of the theory. Okay. Now what are the limitations we have got? The first limitation is we have got central metal atom, correct? Now this central metal atom actually belongs to the D block element. Most of the central metal atom belong to the D block element. But his theory could not explain why only few elements can form the coordination compound. So he failed to explain why only certain elements, why only certain elements possess possess the remarkable possess the property of remarkable property of forming coordination compound coordination compound. Okay, so he could not explain. And second drawback is that why the coordination compounds have got tetrahedral shape, octahedral shape, square planar shape. Why the ligands are directed toward the four corners in the tetrahedral and square planar? It was not explained. Why the bonds? Why the bonds? Why the bonds in coordination compounds? In coordination compounds have directional properties. Directional properties. Directional properties means why they are direct towards the four corners of the tetrahedra, four corners of the square planar, six corners of the octahedra. That was not explained. And there is one more drawback or limitation. That is, you have studied in the previous video the isomerism, geometrical isomerism you studied, optical isomerism studied. Why the compound shows all these isomerism was not explained. Why? The coordination compounds. Why the coordination compounds? Why the coordination compounds have have magnetic magnetic and optical properties. Magnetic and optical properties. Why they are optical active compound? And magnetic property means some compounds are diamagnetic, some compounds are paramagnetic. That was also not explained. So these are the few drawbacks of the Werner's theory. Therefore, new theory was introduced, that is the valence bond theory. We shall see the postulates of the valence bond theory. Now let us learn what are the postulates of the VBT, valence bond theory. We have also studied the valence bond theory in chemical bonding, where the atoms undergo hybridization making use of its valence orbitals. Okay, so let us study what are the postulates here. First postulate is that the central metal atom undergoes hybridization. Okay, so central metal atom undergoes hybridization undergoes hybridization hybridization. Okay, hybridization in the presence of the ligands in the presence of the ligands in the presence of the ligands. Okay, the free metal atom does not undergo hybridization. Only when there is a complex formation in the presence of ligand they can undergo hybridization. Now there are different types of hybridization and different types of orbitals involved. It can be n-1 d orbitals. Even d orbitals can also undergo hybridization. Ns and np orbital. Remember, n is the outermost shell, n-1 is the inner shell. Or it can also make use of only outermost shell, ns, np, nd orbital belonging to the outermost shell. If they make use of the inner orbital like n minus 1, such complex are called as the inner orbital complex. Inner orbital complex. Inner orbital complex. If they make use of only outermost shell orbitals, okay, any of the outermost shell, then they are called as the outer orbital complex. Outer orbital complex. Clear? Outer orbital complex. This is the postulate number 1, right? Postulate number 2. Now hybrid orbitals are formed on the central metal atom. What will happen? They will overlap with the ligands. Okay. So hybrid orbitals, hybrid orbitals overlap with, overlap with, they overlap with ligand orbitals, ligand orbitals, ligand orbitals. And these orbitals can donate, ligand orbitals can donate what? Lone pair of electron to the central metal atom, correct? So that can donate, that can donate, that can donate electron pairs, that can donate electron pairs for bonding, electron pairs for bonding, correct? Now you know that Alfred Werner did not tell anything about the donation of the electron from the ligand to the central metal atom. Okay, so he could not explain the type of the bonding there. Now here they can donate electron pair from the ligand to the central metal atom to form bond called as what? Coordination bond, right? Yeah, this was the second postulate. We'll move on to the third postulate. In hybridization, we also study structures of the compounds, okay, geometry of the compound, shapes of the compound. So there are different types of geometry that also depends on the number of ligands. Suppose there are 4 donor atoms are there, its coordination number is equal to 4. But if the coordination number is equal to 4, it can be either tetrahedral or square planar. So there are two types. Coordination number can be 4, either it can be sp3 hybridized or it can be sp2 hybridized. If it is a sp3 hybridized, it has got tetrahedral shape or tetrahedral geometry. If it undergoes dsp2 hybridization, then it has got square planar geometry. Square planar geometry. In both the cases, see, altogether how many donor atoms are there? Ligands are there? 4 should be there. Okay. Now, coordination number can be 5 also. 5 donor atoms. In that case, hybridization involved is sp3 dehybridization, and the geometry would be trigonal, trigonal bipyramidal geometry, trigonal bipyramidal geometry. Okay. Then coordination number can be 6. There are two types of hybridization. Either it is the sp3 d2 hybridization or it is a d2sp3 hybridization. Looks like the same, only interchange these orbitals. Okay, so it is a octahedral geometry. In both the cases, they have got octahedral geometry. Now count the orbitals here, sp3 and d2, or it is a d2sp3 hybridization, correct? Now s orbital is 1, then 3p orbital, then you have got d orbital 2 in number, altogether 6 orbitals are there, correct? Clear? So it can form 6 means refers to octahedral here. Okay, octahedral geometry, correct? Here also d2 orbital, s1 orbital plus 3 orbital, altogether how many orbitals are there? 6 orbitals are there. Again, whenever 6 orbitals are there, it can have octahedral shape. Now what is the sp3d2 and reverse d2sp3? That means it will make you the ns orbital, np orbital and nd orbital. Here it makes you the n minus 1, start n minus 1 d orbital, ns orbital and np orbital, which means this octahedral, this hybridization involves outer orbital complex, outer orbital complex, only outermost shell is there, nth shell is outermost shell. Here in this case we also get inner shell n minus 1, so it is called the inner orbital complex, inner orbital complex. Okay, right? So remember, whenever sp3d2 is there, it will have outer orbital complex, outer orbital complex. d2sp3 is the inner orbital complex, inner orbital complex. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.